Good morning, students. So last class we discussed about the winding terminology and also voltage regulation of an alternator. That means different methods of calculating the voltage regulation. Direct method, MMF method, EMF method, ZTF method, and then ASA method. Out of all these things, for our electrical technology syllabus, EMF method is there. That's why we discuss about the EMF method of calculating the voltage regulation and some problems on EMF. Now go for the last topic of 5th unit of electrical technology subject. That is the synchronous motor. So principle of operation of synchronous motor. So topic is synchronous motor working principle. So look at the picture. This is the industrial implementation of synchronous motor. So this is the stator and this is the rotor and this is the slip rings and this is the exit. Exit is nothing but give a DC supply to the rotor to get the rotor. That means give a some field excitation. Excitation of the field. You are giving a DC supply from the exciter, right? The industrial picture of synchronous motor. Now generally what is synchronous motor? Generally motor is nothing but converts electrical energy into mechanical energy, right? So synchronous motor is also electrically identical with an alternator or AC generator. A given alternator can be used as a motor or when driven electrically. Synchronous alternator may be replaced as a synchronous motor and driven electrically. The main characteristics of synchronous motors are: first point, it runs either at synchronous speed or not at all. While running it maintaining constant speed, the only way to change the speed is vary to the frequency, supply frequency. We know that synchronous speed Ns is equal to 120 F by T. T is the number of poles, that is the fixed one. Ns is the synchronous speed, that is also fixed one. Now the variable one is frequency. That means synchronous motor is running either synchronous speed or another speed. So to get another speed, that means synchronous motor is running except synchronous speed is nothing but by varying the frequency. We can vary the frequency, then we can vary the synchronous speed also. Second point is, it is not inherently self-starting. Whereas induction motor is a self-starting motor, but coming to this one, it is not a inherently self-starting. Why? Because it has to be run up to synchronous speed by some means before it can be synchronized to the supply. So always it is running at synchronous speed, so it does not start itself. That's why synchronous motor is not a self-starting motor, but whereas induction motor is a self-starting motor. So third feature is, it is capable of being operated under a wide range of power factors. That means it will be operating with lagging power factor, leading power factor, as well as zero power factor. Hence, it can be used as a power correction device also. Synchronous condenser. So, synchronous condenser is used to correct the power factor of a particular machine or particular equipment. So, what is synchronous condenser is nothing but an overload condition. A synchronous motor may act as a capacitor. at no load condition and over excitation. No load condition, over excitation condition, the synchronous motor may be act as a capacitor. So now, at this condition is called as synchronous condenser. So synchronous condenser having the leading wires. Now we have to connect here the synchronous condenser in parallel to the low power factor device. Now that low power factor may be nullified with the help of this leading wires, and then power factor of that equipment maybe comes to nearly unity. That's why the synchronous motor may be placed as a power factor correction purpose also. Exactly, the synchronous condenser is used to improve the power factor of a particular device. What is synchronous condenser? At no load condition, over excitation condition, the synchronous motor may be acted as a capacitor. Now that capacitor having the leading wire. Now that leading wires may neutralize the lagging wires and comes to the particular equipment power factor nearly unity. Right? The construction of synchronous motor. As we discussed in earlier, that is the starting stage of the alternators. Construction of alternator contains stator, rotor. Rotor again consists of salient pole rotor, cylindrical rotor. So the construction of synchronous alternator, synchronous motors, both are same. So again we discussed once again, already we discussed in the previous classes, construction of a synchronous generator or construction of a alternator. So this is also similar to the synchronous motor construction is also similar to synchronous generator. So it consists of stator and rotor. Stator is the stationary part and rotor is the rotating part. Now stator, so it is built up of silicon steel laminations and is having slots on its inner periphery. So look at the picture, this is the stator. So in its inner periphery, the slots are maintaining. So in these slots we are putting the conductor, right? So now the stator having three parts: stator frame, stator core, and stator winding. Stator frame is nothing but outer body of the entire machine. That means it protects the machine from all atmospheric changes. So that means it gives a protection of inner parts of the machine. Generally, stator frame is a outer body of the machine and it is made up of cast iron and cast steel. It protects the inner parts of the machine. So now cast iron is used only because its mechanical strength is high. Next, stator core. Stator core is made up of silicon steel material. It is made from number of stampings which are insulated from each other. Stator core consists of made up of silicon steel laminations and is made up of number of stampings and number of slots. And every slot is insulated to each other. And last one, stator winding. Slots are cut on the inner periphery of the stator core, in which three-phase or single-phase winding is placed. Right? What is winding material? So enameled copper is used as a winding material. Next, rotor. Rotor again classified as two types: salient pole type or projected type. Second one, cylindrical type. So salient type, the figure of salient pole type is shown here. Look at the figure. The poles are projected from the surface of the core shaft. The poles are projected from the outer body of the shaft. Right? Salient coil type rotor is used low and medium speed alternators, that is hydro, is used in hydropower stations. So the construction of salient pole type is shown in the above figure in the last slide. So this type of rotor consists of large number of projected poles bolted on the magnetic field. These poles are also laminated to minimize the eddy current losses because it may be insulated to each other. Alternators featuring this type of rotor are large in diameter and small in axial length. Non-salient type or cylindrical type. The poles are projected in the inner side only. The poles are not projected on the outer side. The rotor is made up of smooth, solid, worked steel radial cylinder having a number of slots along the outer periphery. So this machine is a high-speed machine, that is nearly 3000 RPM. This type of machine having small diameter and large axial length. This type of machine is used in thermal power station or diesel power station, or gas power station, where the speed required is very high. Next, go for the operating principle. Look at the picture. We are giving a three-phase AC supply to the stator of the synchronous motor that may develop the rotating magnetic field. That means it may rotating with the synchronous speed. That is Ns is equal to 120 F by T RPM. The main principle involved in the synchronous motor is magnetic locking. And it is rotating with synchronous speed, that is Ns is equal to 120 F by T. Whenever we are giving a three-phase winding or three-phase AC supply is fed by the three-phase winding is fed by a three-phase supply, then a magnetic flux of constant magnitude, but it is rotating with synchronous speed. Consider a two-pole stator figure above. Two stator poles marked as Ns and Ss rotating at synchronous speed, say in clockwise direction. If the rotor position is shown, suppose the stator poles are at the instant situated at point A and B. Two similar poles N and Ns as well as S and Ss will repel to each other, which the result that the rotor tends to rotate in anti-clockwise direction. So whenever we are giving three-phase supply stator, it will develop a rotating magnetic field that will be rotating with the synchronous speed, that is Ns is equal to 120 F by T, that is rotating in anti-clockwise direction. Now later, the stator poles having rotated around interchange their positions. Ns is at point B and Ss is at point A. Under these conditions, Ns attracts S and Ss attracts N. Hence, the rotor tends to rotate clockwise direction, and it is a just reverse of the first direction, and is developed with the help of magnetic locking. Hence, we find that due to continuous and rapid rotation of stator poles, the rotor is subject to a torque, which is rapidly reversing in quick succession The rotor is subject to torque, which tends to move its post in one direction, then in the opposite direction. Now, how can you making a synchronous motor self-starting is nothing but by using damper windings, you can start the synchronous motor. So, making self-starting is nothing but synchronous motor self-starting is nothing but a synchronous motor cannot start by itself. In order to make the motor self-starting, squirrel cage winding is provided on the rotor. Damper winding serves to start the motor. As the motor approaches the synchronous speed, the rotor is excited with direct current because the bars of the squirrel cage arm portion of the rotor now rotate at the same speed as the rotating stator speed. These bars do not cut any flux such that there is no induced current in them. Hence, squirrel cage portion of the rotor is in effect removed from the operation of the motor. It is important to excite the rotor with direct current in the right movement. Generally, whenever we are giving a three-phase winding that gives a three-phase supply to the stator, then a magnetic flux, that means a flux of a constant magnitude but rotating at synchronous speed is produced. Ns is produced. Consider two pole stators in which are shown two stator poles marked as Ns and Ss. Both are north pole stator, south pole stator, and these are rotating at synchronous speed, say in clockwise direction. Since the two similar poles of N and the Ns as well as S and Ss will repel to each other, the rotor tends to rotate in an anti-clockwise direction. But half period later, stator poles having rotated around, interchanging their positions, Ns is at position B and Ss is at position A. Under these conditions, Ns attracts S, Ss attracts N. Therefore, the rotor tends to rotate in clockwise direction. Hence, we find that due to continuous and rapid rotation of the stator poles, the rotor is subjected to torque, which tends to move the first in one direction and then in opposite direction. Owing to large inertia, rotor cannot instantly respond to such quickly reversing torque, with the result that it remains stationary. That means, first half cycle N and Ns, S and S, both are repelled to each other. After one time of instant, Ns into S and Ss into N. So both are attracting to each other, and that means before case, so Ns, N, Ss, S, the rotor may be tends to rotate in one direction. Now this situation, Ns, S, Ss, N, both are attract to each other. Both are attract to each other one instant. That means it's zero position. Now consider the conditions shown in figure where the stator and rotor poles are attracting to each other. Suppose that the rotor is not stationary but it will be rotating clockwise with such a speed that it turns through one pole pitch by time the stator poles interchanging their position. Hence, again the stator and rotor poles attract to each other. It that if the rotor poles also shift their position along with the stator poles, then they will continuously experience a unidirectional torque, but in clockwise direction as shown in the figure. Now the difference between the cylindrical rotor and salient pole rotor already discussed in the last class. Again we can discuss in natural manner. Cylindrical rotor is nothing but poles are not projected. Poles are constructed outer side of the rotor. It means cylindrical rotor does not have poles that are projected out. Air gap between stator rotor is uniform. Uniform air gap is provided. And cylindrical rotor having small number of poles. That's why it is rotating with high speed. Yeah, P is equal to 2, Ns is equal to 120 F by T, that is 3000 RPM, like that. Smooth cylindrical rotor has small number of poles. Cylindrical rotor are mechanically strong. And cylindrical rotor having a small diameter but axial length is more. The prime motors used are steam turbines and electrical motors. So they are preferred for high-speed alternators range from 1000 to 3000 RPM. Whereas salient poles, the poles are projecting from outer side of the shaft. The air gap between stator and rotor is non-uniform. Salient poles rotor has a large number of poles. These are mechanically weak construction, large diameter and it is having large diameter and small axial length. The prime motors used are IC engines and low speed turbines. They are preferred for low speed alternators which range from 100 RPM to 500 RPM. I just have to discuss the difference also. Thank you. Is there any doubt please ask me? Thank you, Ananda. To see this video, please subscribe DBS Talks.